Good afternoon. Please remain standing. I am Kathleen Wilson, Chairperson of the Faculty Senate, member of the FIU Board of Trustees, and Grand Marshal of this ceremony. The 2014 Faculty Convocation and Awards ceremony is now declared open. Please rise for the singing of the national anthem and the FIU alma mater. Will Robert B. Dundas, Associate Professor of Vocal Studies at the School of Music and Chair of the Faculty Convention Committee, please come forward to lead us. You will find the words to our alma mater in your program. I encourage you to sing along. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rippling through those massing in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, Thank you for that wonderful performance. Please be seated. Now it is my pleasure to call to the podium our Provost and Executive Vice President, Dr. Kenneth G. Furton.
Thank you, Trustee Wilson. Good afternoon. On behalf of FIU, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2014 Faculty Convocation and Awards Ceremony. I am pleased to recognize the distinguished group of faculty awardees seated to the audience's right. And throughout the presentation of the awards, you're going to learn of the many accomplishments in the areas of teaching, service, research and creative activities, engagement, librarianship, advising, mentorship, and adjunct teaching. We will also recognize the 3 President's Council Worlds Ahead Faculty Award finalists who have demonstrated sustained excellence as educators and professionals in their respected fields, and whose global engagement in our local and global community has made a significant impact. The winner of this award will be announced later in the ceremony. Please join me in a round of applause to thank all of our faculty awardees for their many outstanding contributions. I would like to recognize Professor Darden Pyron, who chairs the Faculty Senate Honorary Degrees and Awards Committee, and thank him and the members of his committee for their efforts in selecting our deserving awardees. Is Dr. Pyron here? I would also like to thank the Director of the Center for the Advancement of Teaching, Leslie Richardson, and the members of the committees who selected the adjunct faculty honorees. Is Leslie here? A special appreciation, of course, goes to the FIU President's Council, whose members have supported the Outstanding Faculty Award for over 10 years. On behalf of the faculty, I thank the President's Council for its unwavering commitment to recognize academic excellence. I would also like to thank Mr. Robert Dundas, the chair of the Faculty Convocation Committee. Robert, and numerous other administrators and staff that you see around the room. Thank you in so many ways for making this week's many events a tremendous success, culminating in this event today. And of course, a special thanks to Dan Harden, the organist, and the FIU Brass Choir, conducted by Jim Hacker, for their wonderful performance. Thank you, one and all. And now it's my privilege to introduce our distinguished platform party. I ask each person to stand as your name is called and remain standing, and I ask that you please hold your applause until the entire row has been introduced. In the first row, from your left to right, Alexis Calatayud, the President of Student Government Association, Modesto A. Medici Campus, and member of the FIU Board of Trustees. Kathleen Wilson, Grand Marshal, Chair of the Faculty Senate, and member, FIU Board of Trustees. Leonard S. Keller, Professor and Founding Faculty, College of Arts and Sciences. Mary Holly, Chair, President's Council. Mark B. Rosenberg, President. Please be seated. In the second row, from your left to right, Amir Murmuran, Dean, College of Engineering and Computing. Christos Kolumas, Senior Associate Dean, College of Business. Mike Hampton, Dean, Chaplain School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. Delia Garcia, Dean, College of Education. Douglas Robertson, Dean of Undergraduate Education. Lakshmi Reddy, Dean, University Graduate School, and Ann Prestamo, Dean, University Libraries. In the third row from left to right, Mark Williams, Acting Dean, Robert Stemple, College of Public Health and Social Work. Laura Strickland, Dean, Nicole Wertheim, College of Nursing and Health Sciences. Brian Schreiner, Dean of the College of Architecture and the Arts. John Rock, Founding Dean and Senior Vice President of Health Affairs, Herbert Wertheim, College of Medicine. Raul Rice, Dean, School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Leslie Northup, Dean, Honors College. Meredith Newman, Vice Dean, College of Arts and Sciences. And Matthew Miro, Associate Dean, College of Law. I'd also like to recognize many of the vice presidents who taken time out of their busy schedule to be here. So a round of applause for all the vice presidents who've joined us. And it is now my pleasure to call to the podium, once again, our Grand Marshal, Chair of the Faculty Senate, and member, FIU Board of Trustees, Kathleen Wilson.
Again, welcome to the 2014 FIU Faculty Convocation. I want to thank my colleagues and students in the School of Music for the concert yesterday, as well as their involvement in today's ceremony. And I want to welcome all the faculty on the podium sitting out there and their neighbors and friends and family. I am honored to be addressing you as the chair of the FIU Faculty Senate and to be a member of this faculty for which I have great respect and admiration. We are here to honor the faculty on the stage, but also all of you for the commitment you have made to FIU, to the Academy, to your profession, and to your students. As you are well aware, we have many challenges facing higher ed, FIU, the Academy, and our own ability to balance the demands of scholarship and service to our professions and the university with our ability to deliver quality instruction to our students. I could talk about performance metrics and legislators who claim to support higher ed while simultaneously cutting our budgets and imposing impossible demands. Many of you have also expressed as well your frustration at feeling less involved or not consulted at all about decisions that affect our work. This erodes our sense of ownership, and some of us leave or just give up. I acknowledge as well the personal challenges you face as faculty and your Herculean efforts to maintain excellence as scholars and teachers while facing larger class sizes, new ways of delivering instruction for which we may not feel equipped, a shrinking pool of research dollars, greater demands on our time, and, oh yes, being embarrassed that we can't pay our electric bills, let alone put our kids through school or have a pension when we retire. But we are problem solvers and critical thinkers, and we are passionate about our work and our students' success. We can face these challenges together and not just survive, but thrive. I believe that FIU can be one of the best universities in the world, and it's why I'm excited to be here. During a recent exercise in the Student Success Committee, which I chair as part of the strategic planning process, we came up with this BHAG, or Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal, to use Jim Collins' term from his book, Good to Great. FIU is the best multicultural public research university providing excellent and affordable education, serving our students, our community, and the world. We certainly don't presume to speak for everyone here, nor was it meant to be a final pronouncement. What was fascinating was the process itself. How excited were the 14 or so people from across the university, including faculty, staff, and students, during this exercise. Folks could barely contain their enthusiasm and passion for who we are and what we are trying to do, and that, despite the challenges, we might just in fact become the best in the world at what we set out to do. So, what do you need to succeed? As one of you, I have some notion. We need the resources to do our jobs, for professional development, for our research, and to assure our students' success, time and money. But we also need to feel less isolated, to be heard, and to be rewarded for our efforts, such as this convocation. We need to feel connected and to be more engaged. So already the FIU Faculty Senate has instituted a couple changes that we hope will begin to address those issues. You will be receiving the agenda and minutes from every Faculty Senate meeting, which includes regular reports from the provost and the chair. And I invite you to submit agenda items as well, either to your senator or to me directly. We have added a committee on student success and engagement. And I'm asking for volunteers for a work group to find ways to honor and reward faculty for excellent teaching. In addition to this one, broader across the entire university. If you would like to be a member of either of those committees to submit agenda items or just share any ideas you may have, please contact me at kwilson@fiu.edu. We have also instituted a monthly get-together co-sponsored by the FIU Faculty Senate and other units. They will be held generally on the last Friday of each month in the late afternoon, a time to get to know your colleagues, to unwind, and to connect. It might even promote interdisciplinary work. And I encourage you especially to become actively involved in faculty governance and exercise that right and privilege here at FIU. As faculty, we have high expectations and high standards, but we can become overwhelmed or discouraged. Despite our challenges, we can do this together. FIU can become one of the best universities in the world, and we can find joy in the process. I would like to end with a quote that I have taped to my desk by Michelangelo. The greater danger for most of us lies not in setting our aim too high and falling short, but setting our aim too low and achieving our mark. Thank you, and best wishes for a good year.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for challenging us. Thank you for dreaming big. Good afternoon. I'm Mark Rosenberg. I have the privilege of being the university's president, a member of your faculty. I want to congratulate our faculty colleagues this afternoon, and I want to thank you all for being here. That place changed my life. These comments are from an accounting major who later went on to work at one of the country's leading accounting firms, and then a little later became chair of the acquisitions committee of the Tate Museum in London, and then after that, chair of the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum Acquisitions Committee in New York, and more recently, the Perez Art Museum in Miami. These comments came from an individual who today is recognized as one of the world's leading collectors of contemporary art. He annually gives away millions of dollars to foster arts throughout the United States. You might ask, who is this person? Indeed, he's the first college graduate in his family, and he often reminds me that he's the first to graduate from high school in his entire family. Many of you may know him. He is Dennis Scholl, an FIU graduate in accounting. And what place might that be that changed his life? Well, it was the FIU Art Museum, then in the basement of Primera Casa. That's the place. That's the place that he credits with changing his life. Maybe 1,500 square feet. He classifies himself today as an arts zealot because his appreciation for the arts started later in life, he reminded me, at FIU, while he was hustling to get his accounting degree. We do work in a world of contrast, ladies and gentlemen. Mayhem today is everywhere. dark weapons, and grim acts of violence are drivers of discourse and social media from the local to the global. Yet, here we are doing what we love, working with some of the most determined and appreciative students anywhere, honing our curriculum to prepare students for this rough and tumble 21st century, providing more and better internships every year, graduating our students at higher rates every year, carrying out our research and our creative initiatives with an ever-growing confidence and impact, developing win-win partnerships here and abroad that add value, and building community respect and appreciation through our engagement. What's going on here? Well, truth be told, your work, the work of the faculty, now for over 4 decades, has impact, has resonance. It has given hope and opportunity to thousands who have shared this precious real-time space or virtual space with us. Listen to Dennis Scholl. That place changed my life. So let me take a moment and introduce you to Norma and Richard Tier. Norma graduated in 1992 with a degree in English literature, and Richard in 1989 with a degree in MIS. Would you please stand, Norma and Richard? They are your graduates today here at my invitation. They are living proof of your power to inspire, your power to empower, to advance their learning and knowledge, to get great jobs, and as importantly for us, to live a good life. How good, you might ask? How good? Well, I want you to meet their 2 daughters, Sophia and Catherine. They just started here at our FIU 5 weeks ago as freshmen. They were the first students last year to be admitted to this class of 2018 by Dr. Louisa Havens and her team of admission specialists during last year's open house. Now, I know that you might take their presence for granted because we're about students. But let me assure you that these ladies, and I'm going to ask them to rise in a moment, that these ladies could have gone anywhere. Anywhere. How do I know? Because together, their combined SAT scores are just points shy of 4,800. Perfection is 2,400. Combined, they're just points short of 4,800, and they also bring in significant advanced placement credits. They chose FIU, they chose you. Please rise, ladies, be recognized. Thank you. So they chose you. I want to ask you a question. Do you know why? Because we are a university that has found itself. FIU is a university that has a soul where our passions of the mind intersect with our passions of the heart. So thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Tier, for entrusting us not only with your education, but also that of your daughters. Our faculty this university will not disappoint you, and it will not disappoint them. Congratulations for making the right choice. So what does it mean to have a soul? Well, we embrace that our geography and our demography give us an identity of value. We embrace this reality of who we are and where we are. We embrace the radical idea that we take responsibility for the advanced education that eligible students in our community deserve, regardless of the zip code or country of birth or the location of their high school. We take responsibility. We embrace that. And we embrace that because we too in the academy, right here at this university, we have weapons. The weapons of great teaching, the weapons of learning, the weapons of research, of creativity, of mentoring, of counseling, of guidance, and empathy. And that with these bright weapons, we can keep hope and opportunity alive for countless thousands who may not have so many choices as the Tiers, but who have their same aspirations and expectations for us. Years ago, our founder, Chuck Perry, he gave an interview in which he pointed to our essential purpose. This was in an era, some of you, not all of you at this point, would remember the early 1970s. That period was laden with intense conflict, perhaps epitomized by the classic movie that probably most of you have seen called Apocalypse Now. Chuck said this then about FIU. We really are going to plan for the first time to have an institution that is responsive to the urban needs of Miami-Dade County. His clarity about our purpose then is part of our DNA today, only part. But it does help to anchor our efforts today, so different in parameter about performance, largely because of the changing accountability and competitiveness metrics imposed on us by our fiduciaries and stakeholders. I believe Dr. Furton will make some comments about that in a moment. And indeed, we're in the middle of a fast-moving river of change. Change in the very definition of what a higher education is today. Change in how effectiveness is measured and rewarded by students, by their families, by governments, by funders, by employers, by colleagues, locally, nationally, and globally. But somehow, you found a way to show each other and our community that we are indeed mindful of the many responsibilities and opportunities presented by the intersection of our global community and our energized institution. So as we rededicate ourselves this Convocation Week and this Convocation celebration, as we rededicate ourselves to our profession and institution this afternoon, let us be just as confident in our ability to animate the hope and the opportunity that bring the Tiers and 54,000 students to our campuses and to our online learning. Indeed, take a moment to recall one of the students whose life you've impacted, you've inspired. Now think about the students, the countless students, the armies of students waiting for that same impact. Let us dream that one day these same students will repeat what Dennis Scholl often says: that place, FIU, changed my life. So thank you, faculty, for being the drivers of that change. With the bright weapons that you possess, the blessings of knowledge, and your passion for learning, all things are possible. One class, one research project, one study abroad program, one courageous feedback session, one student at a time. For all the years that our institution is blessed to serve, faculty, you will always be the key. And that's why we celebrate your efforts today. Congratulations. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to introduce to you Alexis Calatayud, who's a member of the FIU Board of Trustees and the president of our Student Government Association.
Hello, esteemed faculty. It is my pleasure to speak with you today and to be present at Faculty Convocation. On behalf of the FIU Board of Trustees, I would like to congratulate you on another Worlds Ahead year of faculty accomplishments. And I'm thrilled to see so many faculty in regalia at the same time. This is like Hogwarts for me. It's beautiful. But we're here to celebrate excellence in teaching, in research, and in service. I'd like to share with you briefly how your excellence in teaching and in service has impacted my life, and how I am a product of the faculty. I was told to explore student government through a faculty member who took a vested interest in my trajectory in this university as a freshman. I was continually motivated by the faculty in my discipline to understand limitations women put on themselves within pursuing public office. With Dr. Catherine DePaulo, with Dr. Dario Moreno, I explored how Florida politics works and how student government could play a bigger role within our Florida legislature in advocating for issues that are important for us. You are what's crafting the students and their work even within the university. And I thank you. I thank you so much for what you've done in my life. And we at the Board of Trustees are so proud of our outstanding faculty because you're dedicated to educating global citizens, are involved in problem-solving research that really makes FIU the solution center for our community. You are committed to doing strategic partnerships with key institutions in our community that change not only the lives of FIU students, but of our families. And through your accomplishments, you're helping FIU realize its vision as a student-centered urban public university. And because of that, my life is better, and that of my fellow students, and that of the community of Miami-Dade, and so much beyond that. Congratulations to all the faculty who will be receiving awards for their amazing accomplishments. We celebrate you, thank you so much, and thank you to the faculty of FIU. Continue to be worlds ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Trustee. Thank you. The FIU University Service Medallion signifies the university's recognition of achievements of individuals who have excelled in their careers and have made extraordinary contributions to FIU and to our community. Now, normally, we honor our faculty in this fashion at commencement. But we thought it was fitting, ladies and gentlemen, that we honor today Dr. Leonard Keller with the FIU University Service Medallion because he's among his colleagues who have mattered so much in his career. Provost Furton and Trustee Wilson, will you please escort our honoree to center stage? Leonard Keller, as a founder of the Department of Physical Sciences and later the Department of Chemistry, whose dedicated service has made a critical long-term impact within these academic areas, and on all who have passed through them over more than 4 decades, we salute you. As a newly minted chemistry professor, you arrived at FIU from Yale University in 1972, just as FIU was opening its doors, to take your first job as a professor. A true pioneer, you stepped foot onto a mostly desolate former airport, a big owl field to be sure, and immediately began helping create the organic chemistry curriculum as well as a lab program that would be housed in a trailer. Over time, you rose to serve as chairman of the Department of Physical Sciences and later the newly established Department of Chemistry. Under your guidance, the Bachelor of Science degree program in chemistry received American Chemical Society certification, and the Master of Science degree program was inaugurated. You also helped lay the groundwork for a subsequent doctoral program. Under your leadership, the chemistry faculty more than doubled in size, and a dedicated chemistry and physics building was constructed, the latter involving many hours of your working with architects and administrators, and today that incredible building sits right across campus. Your exemplary service is complemented by your passion for teaching organic chemistry and your support of students through your duties with the FIU chapter of the Academic Honor Society, Phi Beta Kappa, and the Florida section of the American Chemical Society. We honor you, Dr. Keller, for your devotion to FIU and for never shunning the important work that needed doing decade in and decade out. You have established a legacy at FIU that will forever remain a credit to your name. And so, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Florida International University Board of Trustees, we hereby present you with this FIU medallion.
It is now my pleasure to initiate the presentation of the 2014 Faculty Awards. With the faculty awardees for excellence in teaching, please prepare to come forward to receive your honor. Actually, I missed the first part. Sorry, it's my first commencement, Mr. President. FIU, okay, so we're going to start with the excellence in teaching. Mahadev Bhatt, College of Arts and Sciences, Department of Earth and Environment. Mahadev Bhatt's teaching portfolio on natural resource economics spans across the university, a multi-university consortium, and Miami-Dade K-12 education. He co-founded the FIU Agroecology program that trains underrepresented students in agricultural sciences with the aid of over 10 USDA grant programs. He co-established the FIU Organic Garden, a cultivation classroom, and provided support for over 100 career development and study abroad internships. Dr. Bhatt made key contributions to FIU, receiving the USDA national designation of Hispanics serving agricultural colleges and universities, one among 72 colleges in the United States. Congratulations. Excellence in teaching, Brice Dupayer, College of Business, Department of Finance. Brice Dupayer is the kind of professor whose instructional skills make complex quantitative theories easy at the undergraduate, graduate, and doctoral level. He was voted the best professor or the best course 20 times in the value-added Master of Science in Finance program, and new University Professor of the Year and Best All-Around Professor by the local chapter of the Finance Management Association International. His teaching success secret, combining theory and intuition and the use of clear and immediate applications. Congratulations. Excellence in Teaching, Lynn Miller, College of Education. Department of Teaching and Learning, Lynn Miller, Chair of the Department of Teaching and Learning, was previously Program Leader of Elementary Education for 15 years. Her scholarly work focuses on the effective teaching of literacy and best practices to support student literacy learning. Her vast knowledge of curriculum development and Florida Department of Education standards enables reading education courses to remain current as she aptly prepares the next generation of teachers. Professor Miller leads the faculty in professional development and continuous improvement of programs which serve many in the community. Congratulations. Excellence in Teaching, Yu Sun, College of Engineering and Computing, Department of Mechanical and Materials Engineering. Yu Sun's classes are well known to be organized for facilitating learning, and students praise her for being able to make them understand highly complex statistics, dynamics, and design concepts. She was instrumental in transitioning from a paper-based to a fully online course and testing system. Her passion for educating students was evident from the start. The year she started at FIU, she was already nominated for the Dean's Award in Teaching. Dr. Sun believes that a good teacher knows how to motivate and engage their students. Congratulations. Excellence in Teaching, Herman Watson, College of Engineering and Computing, Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Herman Watson is considered the de facto pioneer in the area of embedded systems amongst faculty in his department and is highly regarded for modernizing computer engineering programs. His experience of over 27 years in the biomedical field and his instructional model helps students acquire the theoretical as well as the practical skills to succeed in their careers. His goal is to be a role model for students by working with our multifaceted faculty in developing curriculum that will help prepare students for lucrative careers. Congratulations. And now the Faculty Awards for Excellence in Service. Excellence in Service, Elizabeth Kramer, College of Education, Department of Teaching and Learning. Liz Kramer is the program leader of special education, and her service record spans from serving as president-elect, president, and currently past president of the Council for Exceptional Children Division for Diverse Exceptional Learners. This is the premier international organization in her field. For reviewing U.S. DOE grant proposals, she actively engages with the Miami-Dade County Public Schools Superintendent Advisory Board for Students with Disabilities. At FIU, she chairs the Special Education Community Task Advisory Board and is the faculty sponsor for the Student Organization for Exceptional Children. Congratulations. And now, the awardees for Excellence in Research and Creative Activities. Excellence in Research and Creative Activities, David Barton Bray, College of Arts and Sciences, the Department of Earth and Environment. David Bray is a globally recognized authority on natural resource management in Latin America. His research has been funded with over $1.5 million by the Ford Foundation, the Hewlett Foundation, and USAID, and he has been an invited speaker at the Aspen Environmental Forum and many other major platforms around the world. His significant record of close to 2,000 citations was validated by the late Elinor Ostrom, winner of the 2009 Nobel Prize in Economics, by whom he was cited in several publications. Congratulations. Excellence in Research and Creative Activities, Shenzong Li, College of Engineering and Computing, the Department of Biomedical Engineering. Shenzong Li is a pioneer in the area of nanobioengineering and bioelectronics, specifically biosensing technology for disease point of care testing. He has secured support from the NIH, the NSF, and DoD, and has established worldwide research collaborations between the US, China, India, Turkey, and Japan. The impact of his work is authenticated by 7 patents and nearly 100 journal publications that have generated close to 1,500 citations. Dr. Li also serves as the associate editor of 4 scientific journals and as the editorial board member for several other journals. Congratulations. Excellence in Research and Creative Activities, Juliet Pinto, School of Journalism and Mass Communication, the Department of Journalism and Broadcasting. Juliet Pinto's body of work examines environmental communication in English and Spanish language media. Her award-winning documentary on sea level rise, called South Florida's Rising Seas, aired in January of this year. It was featured by the Sun Sentinel and the Miami Herald and was repurposed by PBS NewsHour for its national newscast. Dr. Pinto's research is widely published and enriches the American and Latin American environmental media literature and informs organizations such as the Inter-American Development Bank, USAID, and other environmental government agencies. Congratulations. Excellence in Research and Creative Activities, Bianca Primo, College of Arts and Sciences, Department of History. Bianca Primo, a prominent historian of Latin America, received praise for this award from recommenders at universities, including Cambridge and Harvard. Her output of prize-winning publications include 1 monographic book, a 2nd near completion, a 3rd in the research stage, and an edited volume, as well as 13 peer-reviewed articles in top-ranked journals and 6 book chapters. She has also received 6 major competitive fellowships over the last 8 years, including one from the National Science Foundation, a very rare accomplishment in the field of history. Congratulations. Excellence in Research and Creative Activities, Jean Rahir, College of Arts and Sciences, Department of Global and Socio-Cultural Studies. Jean Rahir's accomplishments are documented in 3 authored and 4 edited books, and in more than 70 articles and book chapters. As a socio-cultural anthropologist, he has conducted extensive research on the African diaspora in the Andean region of South America, and particularly Ecuador. His studies also include colonial archives in Belgium for an ongoing project on the intersections of sex, race, and power in the Belgian Congo, now known as the Congo DRC, where he was born. He is also working on roots heritage tourism in West Africa, particularly in the Gambia. Congratulations. Excellence in Research and Creative Activities, Mary Jo Trepka, Robert Stemple College of Public Health and Social Work, Department of Epidemiology. Mary Jo Trepka is a forerunner in researching the social determinants of infectious diseases. A 5-year R01 grant from the NIH, the National Institute of Minority Health and Health Disparities, supports her studies. Her study investigates the role of poverty, racial residential segregation, and rural-urban residents in racial disparities in AIDS survival. Nominated by the NIH, her groundbreaking work has been recognized by President Obama with the Presidential Early Career Award for Science and Engineering, which is an extraordinary honor bestowed upon her by the United States government. Congratulations. Excellence in Engagement, Moses Shumo, School of Journalism and Mass Communication, Department of Journalism and Broadcasting. Moses Shumo transferred his research on the production and consumption of immigrant media from the college campus to the local community. As part of the education effect, he is addressing the digital divide in Liberty City by working to create a digital commons. Recently, he and English professor Tanya Lopez launched the Humans of Liberty City project, where 12 FIU students monitored 30 Northwestern high schoolers during the creation of short media profiles of community members who traditionally do not receive media attention. Congratulations. And now will Dean Ann Prestamo please come forward to present the Librarian Award.
Would the faculty awardee for excellence in librarianship please come forward to receive your honor? Excellence in librarianship, Sarah Hamill, Libraries, Department of Library Operations. In her role as FIU's distance learning librarian, Sarah Hamill is known for her exemplary outreach and patron engagement, which among faculty, instructional designers, and students has earned her the unofficial title of Online Education Go-To Librarian. Her dedication to the profession has led to prominent positions in state and national organizations, including the Florida Library Association and the American Library Association. She has authored over 30 peer-reviewed articles, research reports, and presentations on distance learning library services, usability testing, and assessment of student training. Will Dean Lakshmi Reddy please come forward to present the Advising and Mentorship Award?
It's my honor to present the candidates for the Advising and Mentorship Award. Eva Frank from the College of Education, Department of Teaching and Learning. Eva Maria Frank is credited with growing the Physical Education, Sports, and Fitness Studies program by 300 students since 2010 due to her genuine and empowering advising under the motto, "It's only FI without you." Ms. Frank is the faculty advisor for FIU Sports Science Organization, which assists students in professional development, and Tutoring Tuesday, which provides students with academic support. She facilitates student success through establishing avenues for peer instruction, networking with professionals, and volunteering in the community. Congratulations. Excellence in Advising and Mentorship, Sherry Johnson from the College of Arts and Sciences, Department of History. Sherry Johnson is knowledgeable, connected in her field, tough with high expectations, generous with her time, and deeply committed to her student success. During a research trip, she took 2 doctoral students to Cuba to connect them to key individuals for their research. She has graduated 6 PhDs and co-chaired a 7th, served as chair for 5 successful master's theses, and was on the committee of 10 successful PhD defenses. She still managed to edit 2 collections, publish 2 books, and more than 20 articles on book chapters. Congratulations. Excellence in Advising and Mentorship, Jinlin Zhao from Chaplin School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. Jinlin Zhao has served the Chinese Hospitality Student Association and FIU's Chinese Student and Scholar Association since 2010. His mentees express their deep appreciation for his relentless encouragement to publish, which has afforded 53 graduate students the opportunity to present their findings at renowned conferences and 15 successfully published in top-tier journals in the discipline. Dr. Zhao has served on 5 PhD dissertation committees and directed 30 master's degree projects. Beyond the academics, he counsels his students on career development, cultural adjustment, and job placement. Congratulations. Will Dean Douglas Robertson please come forward to present the Adjunct Faculty Awards?
Will the Adjunct Faculty Awardees for Excellence in Teaching please prepare to come forward to receive your honor? Michaela Mora Kochulu engages students, College of Arts and Sciences and Women's Studies Center. Michaela Mora Kochulu engages students in a highly interactive and motivating classroom where students determine opportunities for social justice on an individual as well as a societal level. Her dedication and passion inspires students to become involved in and empower their local and global communities. One student writes, "Thank you for not only giving me meaningful assignments and readings that taught me so much, but also thank you for giving me inspiration. Your tremendous passion throughout each class rekindled my dream of going to law school. Congratulations." Larry Purnell, Nicole Wertheim College of Nursing and Health Sciences, Nursing. Larry Purnell's 41-year career in higher education has led him to view teaching as a vehicle with which to fulfill a fundamental responsibility of academia, to engage and interact with students so they can make informed decisions. Instead of focusing on content only, Dr. Purnell strives to help students to become lifelong learners. An international expert on cultural competence, he even developed his own model for cultural competence and has published more than 100 peer-reviewed articles, 50 book chapters, and has edited or written 14 books. Congratulations. Kathleen Sparrow, College of Education, Teaching and Learning. Kathleen Sparrow began teaching science education at FIU in 2008. She strives to make connections between students' prior experiences and new knowledge. Because she finds that working in small groups strengthens students' communication skills and increases their involvement in learning, Dr. Sparrow urges students to actively engage with each other. Her students, in turn, appreciate the effort Dr. Sparrow makes to keep the course interactive and relevant, saying that she has inspired them to become science teachers. As one student shared, she is someone to emulate. Congratulations.
So this concludes the presentation of the 2014 Faculty Awards. So please join me in a round of applause for all of our award recipients once again. At this time, I would like to welcome President's Council Chair Mary Holly to come to the podium. Mary Holly is a partner in the law firm of Arnstein and Lair, LLP, where she handles complex commercial litigation and cross-border issues. She's a member of the Florida Bar and previously served as vice chair on the Committee on Professionalism. She is a member of the International Law section and Trial Lawyers section of the Florida Bar and Dade County Bar Association and the American Bar Association. A proud Panther, she received her bachelor's and master's degrees from FIU. She also served as a presidential management intern in Washington, D.C., before obtaining her Juris Doctorate from the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Mary Holly.
Thank you, Provost Furton. It's my honor to be with you here today to present the President's Council's Worlds Ahead Faculty Award. Part of our mission as members of the President's Council is to serve as ambassadors in the community for the university. And the board is comprised of professionals and community leaders. And one aspect of our role is really to acknowledge and recognize the faculty and the dedication of the faculty to this community. Your dedication and its impact on students has been addressed today by President Rosenberg and has been demonstrated by some of those who are in attendance today. I can tell you that the dedication of the faculty of Florida International University had an impact on my life as well. I was motivated and I was inspired by some very motivated, dedicated young faculty members, some of who are still here with us today. And I want to thank Professor Rosenberg and Professor Stack for being worlds ahead then. And now I am pleased to tell you that this year's nominees came from a group of 20 faculty applications, and it was a very, as usual, difficult process. But one of the things that we as members of the President's Council learn from this process is the fact that we are every year, and I think this will be my third or fourth year on the committee, are inspired by the absolute dedication and professionalism as well as quality of the faculty. I have, I think, the pleasure of introducing two of our President's Council's members. One is the immediate past chair of the President's Council, Victor Balestra, and the other is Melissa Tapanis, who is the chair of the Worlds Ahead faculty. And I'd like to recognize them and thank them for there they are, their dedication. I also would like to thank the committee of the past award recipients who helped guide us through our decision, and thank Sandy Gonzalez-Levy, the Executive Vice President for External Relations, and her staff for the support that they give to our board. Without them, we could not do much of what we do, so thank you very much, Sandy. Today, we demonstrate the President's Council's appreciation for the work that the faculty has done through conferral of this honor, which carries a $12,500 monetary award. In addition, the first runner-up will receive $3,500, and the second will receive $2,000. I now ask President Rosenberg, Provost Furton, and Trustee Wilson to please join me for the presentation of the President's Council's Worlds Ahead Faculty Award.
Thank you, Mrs. Holly. It is my distinct privilege to introduce our third finalist, Thomas Breslin. Please come forward to receive your award. Thomas A. Breslin, College of Arts and Sciences, Politics and International Relations. Thomas Breslin has for nearly 40 years defined what it means to be worlds ahead. Serving concurrently as a faculty member and an administrator, he has held the posts of Interim Dean of Libraries, Associate Vice President for Academic Affairs, Vice President for Research and Graduate Studies, and Vice Provost. To be sure, his breadth of achievement is matched by his depth. He oversaw, for example, the university's rise to Research 1 status, and he led the planning for our medical school through to its eventual approval by the state legislature. Tom Breslin is an expert in international relations with a record of publications that places him in the very elite group of researchers that would seem highly unlikely for someone with so much administrative responsibilities. He chairs several doctoral dissertation committees and counsels new faculty as a mentor. His immediate colleagues have said it best: none have done more for FIU and with a greater heart, enthusiasm, and generosity than Tom Breslin. Our second finalist is Ediberto Roman. Please come forward to receive your award. Ediberto Roman, College of Law, is a nationally recognized immigration scholar and an activist who has helped open the doors of higher education to immigrant children. His determination as a humanist and his acumen as an interpreter of the law make him a positive force within the community and a leader in promoting sound public policy at both the state and the national levels, whether advising the university, analyzing current events, as a columnist with the Huffington Post, addressing cross-cutting themes in one of his several books, or in his book series with the NYU Press, debating immigration matters in the national media, moderating panels of legislators and policymakers in Washington, D.C., or selflessly lending his enormous talent on behalf of the families here in South Florida, Ediberto represents the best of our faculty. His combined intelligence and keen sensitivity make him worlds ahead in the finest FIU tradition. And now it is my distinct honor to announce the winner of the President's Council Worlds Ahead Faculty Award. Will Patrick Cassidy please come forward to receive this prestigious award? Patrick Chip Cassidy, Chaplain School of Hospitality and Tourism Management. Chip Cassidy has used his worlds ahead can-do attitude to help turn the Chaplain School of Hospitality and Tourism Management into a powerhouse within the field. In 1997, he approached the county's largest wine and spirits distributor to invest in a proposed beverage management center at BBC. Today, the Southern Wine and Spirits Beverage Management Center is the region's premier educational and product testing facility, unlike any other in the country. And to fund the idea back then, Mr. Cassidy organized a one-day fundraiser that has since grown into the nationally recognized week-long South Beach Wine and Food Festival. Through his efforts, the annual event gives students unprecedented practical learning experiences and has brought millions of scholarship dollars back to the school. A 1975 hospitality alumnus with nearly 3 decades of service to FIU, wine expert Chip Cassidy grows in the appreciation of his alma mater with each passing year. Congratulations.
Thank you to the President's Council. Thank you, Mrs. Hawley. We appreciate your support, your leadership, and your loyalty. Ladies and gentlemen, I do also want to mention, because it is rare that we have a veteran of the U.S. military, in this case, Professor Cassidy is a U.S. Army Ranger. He fought in Vietnam, and he has 2 Silver Stars. So thank you for your service, Chip. So I am proud to introduce our keynote speaker. I'm very proud to introduce our new provost, Dr. Kenneth Furton. He was named as provost and executive vice president on July 1, 2014, but he's no stranger to our institution. Incredible academic career right here at FIU in 1988. Prior to assuming the provostship, Dr. Furton served as the dean of the College of Arts and Sciences for the last 7 years, and there he transformed the university's largest college into 3 mission-based interdisciplinary schools. He helped to raise nearly $50 million in philanthropic gifts and increase with you, the nearly $310 million in research awards during his tenure as our dean. He's deeply committed to the academy. He's a leading scholar in forensic chemistry. He specializes in detection. He trains dogs in scent detection. And something I didn't know could be done, he trains elephants in scent detection. He's the author and co-author of more than 700 publications and presentations. He shared his expertise through hundreds of invited talks nationally and internationally. He's testified as an expert witness in dozens of state and federal trials. He earned his BS in forensic science at the University of Central Florida, a PhD in analytical chemistry at Wayne State University, and he completed doctoral studies in chemistry at the University of Wales, Swansea, and UK in 1988. Most importantly, perhaps for us, he and his wife, Debbie, entrust their 2 children to us for them to receive their university education. I am very pleased to be able to call Kenneth Furton our provost. Please welcome him to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. President. I spent over a quarter of a century here at FIU, and for those who are keeping count, that's half of my life. And I've seen profound changes, but there are some things that have also remained the same. When I started my career here, there were about 17,000 students and less than 10 buildings. We now have 3 times as many students and 10 times the number of buildings. One thing that hasn't changed is the fact that we have outstanding faculty here at FIU that are able to do amazing things with very limited resources. I've always said that administrators come and go, but the one thing that remains constant is the faculty. Many faculty who have been here for a quarter of a century, like myself, were here when I came here, and they're still here. And I've developed lifelong relationships with them. I'm very proud to be part of such an esteemed group of individuals. I take very seriously my role as Chief Academic Officer of this institution, and I assure you that I will work tirelessly to move us forward. The next 5 years are going to be the most important half-decade of my life. I do feel privileged to serve you and own my responsibility for the oversight of how we create knowledge, facilitate knowledge acquisition, and certify knowledge. Our academy is experiencing the most disruption it has ever had to endure. There's been a paradigm shift in our world, and we must be responsive. Disruptions such as shifts in how universities are funded, shifts in how students select schools, shifts in how information is obtained. Ultimately, it leads to the question of what it means to provide not just a good education, but a valuable one. Universities across the nation are under a tremendous amount of pressure. If we are strategic, FIU will be in position to capitalize on all of this disruption, and we will become one of the best universities in the world. But if we do not choose wisely, or if we delay too long in making our decisions, our institution could be in peril. As you're probably aware, the state legislature has adopted a new performance funding methodology that ranks all of the state universities. Essentially, each university gets a report card. And the metrics are things such as the second-year retention of our students, the 6-year graduation rate, the percentage of our students that are employed within a year, and their median wages. We know it is skewed to benefit a select few, or should I say a select two. We know it doesn't take into account who we are or who we serve, but right now this is our new reality. Last year, $100 million was taken from all of the 12 universities in the state system, and this year the Board of Governors just announced that they're doubling down and that the amount at risk will double this year to $200 million. At this rate, you can do the math, and the entire state appropriation could be at stake within 4 to 5 years. Now, we can debate whether or not this will happen, but I'd rather focus on getting better in any case. I'd rather focus on our students' success. I'd rather focus on finding a better way to operate efficiently. I'd rather focus on supporting our faculty and leveraging their talent and on our commitment to achieving our goals. My goal is to fully understand what it will take for FIU to not only be competitive, but to thrive despite of this performance reality that we have to deal with. So yes, I enter my provostship with a sense of urgency. Some of you may have already picked up on that, or you know my boss. But I want you to know that I enter this provostship with energy and optimism as well. I am optimistic for our future. I am confident that FIU will lead the way. I am confident that we will rise to the challenge, and once again, we will surprise everyone at what we are able to accomplish. I know that we have world-class faculty and exceptional students, and with the right blueprint and the right leadership, we will continue our rise as one of the world's largest, as well as the world's best public research university. But there will be plenty of time for us to talk about all of those plans. So today is about the faculty. Today is about the work that we do as faculty that makes us the cornerstone to this great institution of higher education. So since I have the platform this afternoon, I wanted to take a little bit of time to share with you about my road to the academy and then a little bit about my research, including the elephants. Also about my students and why I really do feel privileged to serve you and serve our FIU as your provost. My hope is that you will walk away with a better understanding of who I am and what I want to do for you and for our institution. I started here as an FIU assistant professor of chemistry in 1988, but I've always thought that I wanted to be a doctor. In fact, some of you may have seen my license plate. It says Dr. Ken, or you may have heard my students refer to me as Dr. Ken. A lot of people think that happened when I got my PhD, that I started being, but it turns out that started when I was 10 years old. My mom made me a little statue of an actual doctor with a white coat, and on the pocket it said Dr. Ken, and it was sitting in my room since I was 10 years old. My mother was head of medical records as a medical transcriptionist and wanted me to be a doctor. What she didn't know is I actually never really wanted to be a doctor. The thought of making a single mistake that could possibly result in somebody's serious injury or death made me feel extremely uneasy. But of course, like any kid, I wanted to make my parents happy. So when I landed my early admissions to the University of Central Florida, They asked me what my major was. I said pre-med, and they said there is no pre-med major. And I said, so I looked through the catalog and I saw forensic science. So I said, that's great, I like Quincy, and being a forensic scientist sounds pretty cool. So like many of our students, maybe I didn't take as much time as I should have in choosing my major, but I know we're working on that. And like most of our students, I did not come from a family that had a history of family members getting college degrees. My parents taught me the value of an education, but they couldn't guide me on making tough college decisions. I was a certified EMT, a lifeguard, and I worked in a movie theater at night to help pay my way through school. And I was also painfully shy. And I know when I say that, people think I'm joking, but I really was. And I look at my students, and I look at many of our students, and I say, man, if I can do it, they can do it. They just need to be shown the way. And going through the IREL Commission visioning process, and now the Beyond Possible 2020 strategic planning process, I realized how many of my experiences at school made me who I am today. Through my university experiences, I've learned to compensate for my shyness, but even now before you, I'm actually very nervous and outside my comfort zone. Student success at large public universities like ours pivots around a sense of community, a sense of belonging. We need to create an environment where our students know they are welcomed, where they're wanted, and most of all, that they're not alone. So I early on joined a fraternity at UCF. And as much as that may sound trivial to some, the camaraderie, the forced organization, the rituals, the ceremonies made me feel like I was part of something important. I learned leadership skills and also teamwork. And to this day, I have that brotherhood, a support network. And I actually just stepped down as High Pi, which is the fraternity's head advisor appointed by nationals after serving 13 years for the fraternity chapter here on campus, so that I could focus my attention as your new provost. That brotherhood helped me begin to come out of my shell and to feel like I belonged at UCF. Another thing our students need is access to internships and experiential learning. My first taste of research was at the undergraduate level, doing arson analysis, working with my undergraduate mentor, Professor Chris Clausen. I started to work with him because I saw a little flyer on the bulletin board asking if he wanted to earn extra money, and I said, sure. And I worked in his chemistry lab on this funded arson project, and what I remember was I was just blown away by the fact that one could actually discover something. I mean, who gets a chance to be the first one in the world to develop something that nobody else has ever seen? I was immediately hooked on research and fascinated by that. In my senior year, I interned at Detroit Police Headquarters Crime Lab. It was like a dream. I'm originally from Detroit, and my grandfather was a police chief at a suburban town outside of Detroit, so I felt like I was paying homage to him as well. But that internship changed my life. It made me realize I hated forensic science. Well, at least I hated the lab work in forensic science. And I know I was shy and I didn't really like to talk to people, so you'd think I'd like to be kind of holed up in a lab, but I found that repetitive analysis work, doing the same thing over and over, it really felt like corporal punishment to me. So early on, my mentor in the crime lab, Gloria Reynolds, who later became the crime lab director, saw that I wasn't quite cutting it out as a lab scientist and that I enjoyed research, and suggested that I went across the street and apply to Wayne State University to do an advanced degree. Wayne State University had one of the best analytical chemistry programs in the country, and I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to go do my PhD with Professor Colin Poole, who was one of the world's leading chromatographers, which was the technique I did on my arson project. Unfortunately, the graduate program director in the Department of Chemistry told me that Dr. Poole's lab was full and I had to pick somebody else. So I informed him then I might have to pick another school because that was really the only place I wanted to go. And so he had a change of heart and I joined Professor Poole's laboratory. Again, that decision changed my life. Dr. Poole took me on my first international trip where we visited chromatography conferences in Oslo, Norway, and Edinburgh, Scotland. I'd never been out of the country. I thought, who gets to do this? We get to travel to an international destination on our grants and network and learn about the field from the scientists at the cutting edge of their field. It was really amazing. It broadened my horizons, and I got to see really what top-ranked research laboratories and scientists and students look like from all around the world. I was also able to witness my advisor, Dr. Poole, getting what's called the sweat chromatography medal. It's TSWETT, it's not a sweat medal. But it's essentially like the Nobel Prize in separation science. He was the youngest person ever to receive this award, and I was proud of him. I was proud of myself also for being one of his students. It's something I'll always remember. And so I was able to complete my PhD, and I was just a kid at 24 years old when I completed my doctorate. But I figured I was ready to go into industry and started applying for jobs. But Dr. Poole told me, no, you should go and do a postdoc. I didn't even know what a postdoc was. But he said, no, you should go and work with another scientist, broaden your horizons, ideally do it overseas. And in the end, really I was thinking about it, at the end of the day, he gave me the gift of choice, of options. So I listened to him, I trusted him, and I went to work with Howard Purnell at the University of Wales in Swansea. Dr. Purnell was a world-renowned separation scientist who just happened to have an opportunity for a research project funded by British Nuclear Fuels related to a new spent nuclear fuel reprocessing technique. When I got to Wales, I was handed a book from the previous postdoc, and it was labeled, I don't know quite how to say this, the late Dr. So-and-so, who was no longer with us. Apparently, he had blown himself up in the middle of the project and passed on. And I was given my own laboratory with windows that looked out into a little courtyard, and on the other side of the courtyard was Professor Purnell's main lab. And my job was to develop a technique that hopefully wouldn't blow up the lab and that they could complete this project for BNFL. Of course, I really didn't want to blow myself up, so I miniaturized the project and thought I was doing pretty well, but my mentor, Professor Purnell, was a chain smoker, so he'd walk in with a lit cigarette every once in a while into my laboratory, and I would just stop for a minute and then say, oh, thank God I'm still alive. The other thing about this project, it turns out, is that the byproducts that were produced were hydrogen cyanide and hydrozoic acid, which is an extremely explosive material known to spontaneously detonate. So I had a little injector pen with an antidote, so if I were to disappear out of sight, then the students were supposed to run around, inject me with the antidote so that I could continue my research. They didn't really have any solution for the lit cigarette mentor coming in to visit me. So luckily I didn't blow myself up and I didn't need any injections and I completed the project. And I started getting offers to go to industry and academia. And I narrowed it down to two final positions. One was Pfizer Pharmaceuticals as a laboratory a research supervisor position, and also the FIU assistant professor of chemistry at roughly half the salary that Pfizer was offering me. So I went into Professor Purnell and said, hey, I'm going to Pfizer. I got this great offer. And he said, no, you're not. He said, you're going to FIU. You can kind of see his theme emerging, right? He told me that if I go to FIU and I don't like it, next year Pfizer would still take me, but not the other way around. if I go to Pfizer, FIU's offer would probably not be available, or I'd get used to making the salary and never go into research. He also said, in academia, you can do your own research. You can do what you're passionate about, and that FIU was a growing institution, and I could make a mark if I came here to FIU. So I'm standing here today as your provost, and I tell you the story, and I thank you for indulging me, because I am the product of great mentorship. I'm the product of the power of internships, even if it's what you learn that you don't want to do. And I'm also the product of experiential learning. But my experiences in the labs in Orlando, Detroit, and Wales led me here. It opened my eyes. It changed my perspective. I had no idea you could have a career as a professor, but I eventually ended up at this young university. And the person who hired me was Dr. Len Keller. I want to thank you for hiring me, and congratulations again on your well-deserved award. And Professor Purnell was right. Coming here, I was able to help start the PhD in chemistry. I got to create the International Forensic Research Institute. I got to create a unique college with 3 interdisciplinary schools. And now I have the great honor of helping to create the next strategy for FIU, the next 5-year strategic plan that will lay the foundation for the next 50 years of FIU's history. I am humbled by this institution's profound thirst for more, and I'm also energized by it. I know we can do this. I know we can help our students learn better and graduate more quickly. I know we can give our students experiences that will set them on a path of a lifetime of success. And I know that we can continue to recruit the very best faculty. And I also know that we will one day be a Carnegie Very High Research University. And that's why I feel privileged to be your provost, because I know we have great faculty, and working together, we will achieve these goals. I also know it won't be easy. The times ahead will be full of very tough choices. I will ask you to do things that you may not agree with, and things that you will definitely be uncomfortable with. But in certain circumstances, I will ask you to do it anyway. I did not want to say no to Pfizer. I did not want to leave my lab to become an assistant dean. And I did not want to give up teaching classes. But I pushed myself. I took a leap of faith. I believed the sacrifices I was making were for a good reason. And it's funny, once you make the decision to do something, then really the hardest part is over. So today, my biggest struggle is trying to balance the sense of urgency with the true pace of change that's going on in higher education. But you have my commitment to never stop pushing us forward. You have my commitment to working together and knowing that I'll always expect more of myself than I would from anyone else. And speaking of making tough decisions, I have continued to mentor undergraduate and PhD students while I was dean. But I think it was because I was paying it forward, thinking, what if Professor Poole didn't let me work in his laboratory? And I will be scaling back my research to take on this role, but I'm sure I will always be involved in a more limited way. Which leads me to the last portion of my comments. I wanted to mention a little bit about my research. I have been able to complete with all of my outstanding FIU students some very interesting research projects. And since I'm a forensic scientist, many of these discoveries have also been able to be used in courts of law. So as you heard from my mentors, my specialty is separation science, and I applied that to scent detection. My expertise has mostly been used by law enforcement for drugs and explosives detection, but it stretches into other areas. I call it the A, B, C, D, E, and F, which is arson, biologicals, such as bacteria and fungi, currency, drugs, explosives, and flesh, both dead and alive. I work mostly with dogs, but as you heard from the president, I have branched out in recent years into other animals. And I also work with very sophisticated laboratory instruments with the idea of developing complex, understanding complex odor signatures and developing sensors. Dogs have remarkable capabilities, and research in my lab is focused on determining exactly what chemicals dogs use to locate items of interest, determining the thresholds, trying to improve the canines, and then trying to do complementary sensors. I actually thought I would, when I came to FIU, in 5 or 10 years I could develop sort of artificial dog's nose, and I now know that it will never happen in my lifetime. They're just an amazing apparatus that we can complement, but we can't replace. My early research focused on detecting drugs on money. Since most currency in circulation, if you may or may not be aware of, is contaminated with traces of cocaine. So if you take any money out of your pocket, 9 out of 10 bills have cocaine on them. And so the question came up, what do drug dogs do? Can they alert to the money that's in your pocket? And what we found was that dogs can't actually smell cocaine. They actually smell a breakdown product called methylbenzoate that comes from the breakdown of the cocaine molecule. And that methylbenzoate evaporates quickly. And so, and you have to have residual solvents present. So on currency, you have cocaine, but you don't have the odor of cocaine, versus a street sample of, say, either crack cocaine or cocaine hydrochloride will have the odor of cocaine. And so we've been able to show that dog alerts to currency are an indication of recent contamination or recent close proximity of money to illicit drug activity. And we've been able to develop patented calibration devices based on this research, and helped to develop international best practice guidelines on the proper use of dogs and sensors through a scientific working group that I've chaired over the last decade. We've also, of course, published many papers, and I've had numerous undergrads and grad students who've completed their degrees working on these projects. And we have been able to apply these new methods to casework, resulting in successful convictions. In the last couple of years, there was a Supreme Court ruling upholding the use of canines for probable cause, indicating the presence of illicit drug odor, and they cited the research of my students on this subject. And throughout the years, I have been called to testify on cases where large sums of money are alerted on by canines and to address this issue. One such testimony occurred in my hometown of Detroit, where I testified against some individuals who turned out to be associated with a mafia family. And they happened to have millions of dollars in safes behind their pizza restaurant. And it was challenged in court in terms of the admissibility of the science behind the odor of cocaine, and it was deemed admissible and actually assisted in the conviction of the individuals and the forfeiture of the currency to the United States government. I've also done extensive work on explosives detection using sensors in dogs, and most recently, I've extended this into studying the olfactory capability of other animals, including birds, and then most recently, elephants and even meerkats. And this came out of a funded project through the Department of Defense, in which it was noticed that elephants avoid landmine fields. And the question is, do they do that through learning, that they know maybe other elephants were injured and they know to stay away from certain areas? But it turns out they avoid other areas that other family members have never been. And so we have been able to show that elephants have the same or lower threshold for explosive detection than canines, and it's really sort of a partly basic science as well as an application, because it's hard to get your elephant in your police car. But the idea is, by using indigenous animals, you can work under extreme conditions, or you can work under clandestine conditions, because what happens is when the bad guy discovers that you have a dog that's doing the detection, then you take out the dog. But if you don't know whether it's a bird or meerkat or an elephant, it makes it more difficult to keep track. And finally, my group has really been, in most recent years, has been heavily involved in identifying the chemical signature of human scent. And we've developed a patented method for identifying individuals based on the odor chemicals they leave behind. And the science behind this is that we're constantly shedding our skin cells. So we shed hundreds of skin cells every second. And those skin cells have been on the surface of your skin on typically a day or two, so they're saturated with your scent. And we've been able to show that each person has a unique primary odor chemicals that are given off so that we can actually identify people based on the scent that they produce. And wherever you go, you leave a little bit of you. In fact, in your lifetime, you'll lose 100 pounds of skin cells. And so the dogs can follow that. The length of time depends on the training, but for many days afterwards, the dogs can follow your scent. And we've been able to scientifically validate that. And then these dogs are used in many cases for investigations. And in one case that I worked where the science was challenged was a suspected serial killer in Alaska. And this killer murdered his victims in a particularly grisly fashion. And they found multiple victims that they attested possibly to him. And in this case, the dogs were able to follow from an ATM machine that was used by the suspected perpetrator, and they followed a scent trail miles back to a home that when they got a search warrant and checked it out, turned out there was a match to the ATM machine for somebody who had used the deceased card, and there was also DNA matching the victim. The admissibility of the scent evidence was challenged. In fact, I spent an entire week just in the pretrial hearing on the science behind it. And fortunately, I didn't have to go back for the trial because in order to avoid the death penalty, the suspect confessed to the murder as well as other murders. And what was amazing was what we described in court that we believe was his trail, where he walked from the ATM back to his home. He said not only was that exactly where he went, but he said he was on his bike. He wasn't even walking. So the dogs were able to follow just the trail that he was left on his bike. So it is extremely satisfying to see, and pretty rare indeed, to see in your lifetime your research actually validated and the work of your students validated, and then also helping to solve a crime. And I have dozens of other case stories that I can tell you about over a beer at another time, because I want to conclude by really empathizing what a joy it has been to work on this body of research with our outstanding students and collaborations with many of our outstanding faculty, and how rewarding it's been for me to be a mentor to all of these great students and to pay forward what my mentors did for me. And I know each of us have our own stories about being mentored and mentoring, and I know the best is really yet to come. So I thank you for allowing me to address you today about my work as an educator, mentor, researcher, inventor, and sometimes crime fighter. And in preparation for this talk, I actually found out a lot about myself that I never really take the time to think about. And it ultimately reminded me about why I went into the academy. I didn't go into it because I always wanted to do this. I went into it because I discovered that I loved the pursuit of knowledge. I discovered that because I was pushed by the faculty mentors at my undergraduate level, as a doctoral student, and in my postdoc, and then here at FIU by many in this room as colleagues. And I look forward to working with all of you as we confront the challenges that lie ahead for us. The world ahead isn't the same as the world we are leaving behind. So I challenge us to think differently, to think about our students and what we can do to help them be more successful. and I ask you to support each other. I want to congratulate our colleagues on their awards again today, and I want to thank you for doing the important work for our institution. I'm proud of your body of work, and I'm honored to be your provost and your peer. So while I still have my Dr. Ken statue actually in my house, I am very thankful that I became a doctor of analytical chemistry and forensic science at our FIU. Thank you. And we have some time for a brief question and answer session. If you can raise your hand, I believe we have a couple of microphones in each aisle. I'd be happy to answer anything you're interested, anything about my talk or anything else.
And I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts about connecting FIU and the city of Detroit and the possibilities, thinking worlds ahead.
If I make sure I understand the question, ways to connect Wayne State with FIU?
Either Wayne State or the city of Detroit, I'm just curious to know if you've thought about some possibilities. That's on your radar.
Yeah, it is on my radar. It's interesting. The question is about Wayne State University in the city, which is in the city of Detroit, and it's for, I think, most of our history, including when Tom Breslin was working on the Carnegie Research One group. Wayne State University was an example of an urban serving public research university that is, Carnegie at that time Research One, but Carnegie Very High Research. It's related to this current process of strategic planning. We've been focusing more on the local other urban serving research universities like Central Florida and South Florida, and we have a Metropolitan Research University Consortium partnership with them. But I believe we should broaden it to other research universities in urban settings that are linked to the community. I think Wayne State is a good model to look at. The challenge, of course, is Detroit, suffered from decades of public corruption, and it's in a state now that some are concerned, how well the city will respond and come back. And I know in some areas like the arts, there's starting to be a bit of a revival, mainly because property's so cheap there. But I go back to Detroit regularly as for weddings and funerals with my family up there, and it's still a great city. Again, Wayne State University has mostly commuter students, just like ours. So I think it is worth looking at and looking at some other urban settings, urban serving research universities as other benchmarks. Other questions? I'm sure there's got to be some question.
Yes, in the context of your research, I heard in the news today, in a somewhat different context, that one of the biggest predictors of mortality or early death for older people is the loss of smell. Do you think that is something that is of interest for research?
Yeah, it's interesting. There was a recent study showing if you can't smell, they wrote like 5 particular odors, then your life expectancy was less than 5 years. And it's interesting because they don't know why, but generally speaking, your olfactory capabilities do diminish in later years. So with detector dogs, they typically have a working expectancy of about 10 years. And a lot of times it's not because they're not capable physically, but it's because their detection thresholds actually drop below a usable level. So it's an interesting study, and very little work has been done in that regard. It turns out that of all the senses all of our senses, the sense of smell, even though it's so important, is one of the least studied. And it wasn't until maybe a handful of years ago that there was a Nobel Prize in medicine and physiology on better understanding olfaction. And that's been one of the challenges in my research over the years, is that it's an emerging field in some regards, and particularly related to certain animals. So there are plenty of mouse models related to it, but in other animals, including humans, there are still gaps in our knowledge. But it is a non-intrusive way that you could possibly indicate maybe not time of death, potential or future time of death, but other disease states as well.
The president has been emphasizing, I think appropriately, in the last several years since he's become president, our duty to and obligations that we have towards our local community. I know the Honors College and other institutions here have reached out to the city of Sweetwater, and I don't think our engagement with the local community has ever been better. I might also mention the medical school, which has been advertised. On the other hand, since its founding, FIU's also had this important international mission that is represented by visits of the Dalai Lama here, UN Secretary Generals, and other international figures. So I wondered if you had any thoughts at the beginning of the provostship about how FIU can balance those tensions between the local and international missions, and maybe how they can be combined in some way. Thank you.
That's a very good question, and I know in the IRL commission, some of the discussion was in terms of integrating the teaching mission, the research activities, and the engagement activities into areas in which we can leverage all three to try to provide our service to the community and our educational product and continue to build our research agenda at a lower cost. I think we ended up with a conclusion that we do need to serve our local and our global community, but it is going to continue to be part of the discussion of the university's next 5-year strategic plan, because I would say when we look at international, we probably need to be more focused on what we mean by that and what areas of international. So we have to continue to be engaged internationally, but we may not be able to afford to be, too broad and need to make some decisions in terms of targeted areas. Certainly Latin America and the Caribbean have always been, one of our strength areas. In terms of local engagement, and by local I mean really expanding beyond Miami and into the Florida and maybe even nationally in terms of partnerships with companies and partnerships with other institutions. That's emerging as a definite area that we need to pursue. So the idea of linking with South Florida and Central Florida and FIU, those three institutions actually graduate about 50% of all the graduating students in the state system. And we have about 60% of the population and about 70% of the minority population. So by working together on strategies, including sharing internships and experiential learning and so forth, that seems to be a natural way that we can integrate some of the activities of the 3 urban serving research universities. And that, of course, requires us to link more intentionally with our local industry and with our government, local, state, as well as federal government agencies. So I don't have the answer for you today, but that's definitely something that we will need to address in the next strategic plan. Any other questions? Probably have time for one more, or if not, we'll move on. Right. Thank you.
Very well done, our provost. Okay, so here's what I know. Imagine our chief academic officer started his academic career as a specialist on arson. We've talked about lighting fires of the mind, and there's nobody better suited, obviously, to lead us in this next phase than Dr. Furton. So thank you very much, our provost. We've had quite an afternoon. We've had quite a week. We want to thank you all for being a part of this incredible journey called FIU. We want to congratulate our awardees. We want to commend you. We want to urge you to continue the incredible work that inspires us here. We now have a reception across the street in the Frost Art Museum, and as you enter our museum, we hope you'll stop by the exhibition that showcases the work of our honorees here at FIU. It's an opportunity to learn more about the many significant achievements of your colleagues, discuss with them the ways that they change our local and our global community. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being a part of this momentous occasion. We will now begin the recessional. Will all convocation guests please remain in your seats until our recessional has ended? Congratulations to our faculty.